So now onto the second part. So now we know that man is a visionary. Men and women are visionaries. That is your primary function. That's what you was built, created, and brought into this earth to do. You're visionaries. Each of you has a vision. You function by image and imagination. Image and imagination. That's deep, but it's true. We all function by image and imaginations. What we see in our minds, we function by that, day by day, every day. And that's real to us. So now we're going to talk about manifesting your vision. Now that we understand that we are visionaries, let's explore some methods and some ways and processes of manifesting your vision. And in going into the first one, I just want to highlight a teaching that's very, very popular in the earth. And it stems from the book called The Secret, very, very popular book that a lot of people subscribe to, and the law of attraction. And I'm going to just give a snippet of The Secret, but I want to kind of use it, to make another point, okay? Okay. If it will work.
Let's use this metaphor. If you think about Aladdin and his lamp, you've probably heard of that one. I mean, Aladdin picks up the lamp, he dusts it off, and out pops the genie. The genie always says one thing.
Your wish is my command.
You know, the universe is this great genie, and your conscious mind is Aladdin. It formulates the intention of what you choose for your life. Whatever you put out there consistently, and you think, feel, and act upon, it's coming to you.
Okay. So so it's very, very popular, but I actually have a different take to that. And it's don't look up, look within. Change your perspective. Don't look up, look within. Change your perspective. And the reason why I say that is that, as you've seen, I've given you the description of the three heavens, the makeup of the universe. And what is essential to know is that the spiritual realms, the first and second heaven, are inner realities. They are inner realities. Reality as a whole, in its three dimensions, is a reality nested in another. So you would have the outer reality of the physical realm, but then there's the inner reality of the mind, and then there's the inmost reality of the spirit. And so looking for heaven by going up, by taking a rocket and going into space or going up as high as you want, that is not where you find heaven. Heaven is an inner reality. I know, but the traditional depiction is that you look up, but it's not looking up physically that we are to do, but looking up spiritually, looking up mentally and looking up spiritually. That is the direction, and I believe that is the reason why God destroyed the Tower of Babel before it could even be built, because they were looking for God in the wrong direction. They were trying to connect back to God and to build a tower that will go up to the heavens. And that's what they had in their minds to do. And that's what they had set out to do, to build a tower physically looking up, physically going up to connect to the heavens. But it's looking for God in the wrong direction. And the direction to look for God is from within. It is within that God operates. And when we now talk about the universe, it is not about what is coming to you, as subscribed by the gentleman there in The Secret. It's not about what's coming to you. It's what's coming from you. What you want and what you desire has to come from you, not to you. It's a totally different perspective. But then Jesus said that the kingdom of God, which is it has many, comes out and changes your circumstances or impacts the world. It's an internal focus. So as a visionary, you have to understand, don't look up, look within. It's not what's coming to you, but what's coming from you. And that gives you a great deal of power. It gives you a great deal of power, because then you can easily work on yourself rather than working on something that's outside of you that you have little control of. But you have control of yourself. You have control of your actions. You have control of your thoughts and how you feed your mind and what you teach yourself and what you learn. You control that. And the more fertile you make your ground, which is your heart, the more productive you're going to be. The more you're going to see more of a harvest, of a yield. So don't look up, look within. The next one is to recognize what you have. Recognize what you have. And there is something that Jesus says, and I say that with a warning. It's a warning. Whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Okay? Whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And that's very curious, because how can something that you don't have be taken away from you? How can something that you don't have can be taken away from you? And what it is that you do have it, but you don't recognize it. And if you don't recognize it for long enough, it will be taken away from you before you even knew you had it. And it's probably when it's taken away, then you realize that you had it, but it's too late. Why? Because you did not recognize it. And the truth is that everything that you need, everything that you're asking for, everything that you desire, you have it already, or you have access to it, or you have the resources or the means to acquire it. The problem is that we don't recognize it. I believe that we are surrounded with a sea of opportunity, but the problem is that we don't recognize those opportunities. Which leads me to say that people only give up on their dreams when they feel they do not have the opportunity to fulfill them. However, it is not the absence of opportunities that is the problem, but instead the failure to recognize opportunities and resources that already exist in their lives. And that's very pertinent, that you can have something but not even know it. But once your eyes are opened, and a good way to open your eyes and to recognize opportunities, to have goals. Once you set goals, it starts to open your eyes to opportunities. But the key problem is that people do not recognize what they have. Or they have something, but they don't value it. They see it as something little. And there's examples of this. There's examples of this in the Bible. And this was an experience what do you have in your house? It was an encounter with Elijah or Elisha, and he met a wife who was a wife of one of his fellow prophets, and that husband had died, and the wife came to him and begged and said, please help me, I'm in distress because my husband is dead, we're now in debt, and they're going to sell my son, which was the custom of that time. If you can't pay off your debts, then your family or your children go into slavery. So Elisha said, okay, what can I do to help? And Elijah said, what do you have in your house? What do you have in your house? And the woman's reply is, nothing except this jar and a little bit of oil. Just a jar and a little bit of oil. And so Elisha said, okay, go to your neighbors and get more jars. Not a small amount. Just get a lot of jars. And then pour the oil into the jars. So, and then, but what was very, okay, I'll leave that bit a bit later, but basically go, get as much jars as you can and pour the oil into the jars. And what happened was miraculous, quote unquote. She poured the jar of oil into all the jars, and the oil would not stop running out. Although it was a little oil, the oil kept pouring into all the jars. And then when and so the woman and the son was working together doing this, and then the woman said, is there any more jars? Said, no, there's no more jars. And Elisha said, okay, go and sell what you have, sell all these oil, and then pay off your debts. Now, as a side note, what I would have done as a businessman is I would have made a deal with a potter to keep making jars non-stop so that the oil will keep flowing forever. Because the oil only stopped when there was no jars. So businessman that I would, and when I see the trend, I say, okay, let's make a deal with the potter and keep this thing going. But I wasn't around, so there you go, there you go. So that is an example, and there's other examples in the Bible where you find that people in distress, a woman in distress, and went to a prophet, and the prophet said, what do you have? Oh, I don't have anything except a little bit of flour and oil, and we're just going to make this last meal and die. And then the prophet would tell them to do something and turn the situation around, but do something based on the little thing that they had, that they said they had nothing but this. Even when you find more popular, Jesus feeding the 5,000, it was like, what do you have? Oh, we only have this bread and this fish. And it ended up feeding 5,000. Now, as a side note, you've got to know that when it talks about 5,000, in that culture, only the men were numbered. So it was 5,000 men, but if you kind of go by statistics about with the church attendance, there's probably about 10,000 or 15,000 women there with the 5,000 men, women and children. So that's a lot of people from a little loaves and bread. So, but how do we get, how can we draw a principle for that is practical for us in everyday life? Because not all of us are adept at working miracles. And that's what happened. In all of these cases, a miracle occurred. So how can we draw a principle for that? And the way we can draw a principle, that there's a scripture where Jesus was talking in the synagogue, And then the people were all amazed. And they made this statement. They said basically, wow, what wisdom this man has from which these miracles occur. They recognized that the miracles that he performed was because of the wisdom he had. So miracles are linked to wisdom. So looking at that, this leads me to what I call my 2 pillars for success. The 2 pillars of success. Recognize what you have and have the wisdom to convert what you have to what you need. Recognize what you have and have the wisdom to convert what you have to what you need. In the examples with the widow, she had to recognize what she had, and there was a wisdom, it was a spiritual wisdom that enabled to turn what they had to what they need. But there's all different types of wisdom. There's personal wisdom, there's wisdom with people, there's financial wisdom. But basically it starts with you recognizing what you have, and you have it. It's there in your life. It is whether it's a thing, a resource, a person, and you're overlooking it. That's why it was interesting what Alex was saying. Recognize who's sitting next to you. Shake their hand firm and smile, because you don't know who's there. Recognize things. Do not overlook and ignore them. And have the wisdom to convert what you have to what you need. That is the 2 pillars of success. So that is recognizing what you have. So there, if we're going to go there from the 2 pillars of success, and we've addressed recognizing what you have, then the next thing is to get wisdom. Get wisdom. And this is very, very important for us. If you're a visionary, you must get wisdom. A vision without wisdom is just wishful thinking. You have to get wisdom. However, in order to get wisdom, you have to understand what wisdom really is. Because we usually identify or define wisdom as good judgment, And that's very true, but there's more to wisdom than good judgment. And what I found is, in my studies, what I did is there's a way of studying the Bible. It's called, or a science to the Bible. It's called hermeneutics. Hermeneutics. It's the study not just of the Bible, but any ancient text. There is a science and there's laws to how to study and to interpret ancient texts. And one of those laws is called the law of first mention. The law of first mention. And that law states that if you look at any ancient text and if you're looking for a word, and if you want to know the true meaning of the word, look for where it is first mentioned. And that will give you the true definition, the true intention of that word. So when you do that, and looking, the first time that wisdom is mentioned was in a situation where Moses had been given a vision. Moses had been given a vision, and his vision was to build a tabernacle. It was a heavenly vision that he was tasked with manifesting on the earth. We know it was a heavenly vision because if you look further on in Hebrews, it says that the tabernacle actually existed in heaven, and Moses was given a vision of it, and he was tasked with the responsibility of manifesting it exactly as he saw it. Don't deviate exactly as you see it. Why? Because this is real in heaven and everything about it is significant. So that's the task he was given. And so in Exodus 28, where wisdom is first mentioned, God was telling him how he's going to do this. What's his first port of call to carry out this vision? And it says that you should speak to all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garment to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me the priest's office. Speak to all who are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with a spirit of wisdom. Now, the wise-hearted are the artisans. They're craftsmen. They the skilled artists and skilled workers. They were called wise-hearted because of their creativity. And God says that I've given them a spirit of wisdom. And the thing that is important about an artist, a very important and key skill of an artist, is that they work from their imaginations and have the skill to manifest what's in their imaginations and make it into a physical reality. That is the skill of an artisan. And as a visionary, we all have to be artisans. It's not just for those in the arts. If you take the principle wider, you have to become skilled at capturing a vision, but then acquire the skills needed to manifest what is in your imagination. And so God said, talk to the artisans. Any visionary needs artisans. They need people who are able to catch the vision, and not only to catch it, but have the skill to manifest it. And that whole process is called wisdom. So wisdom is a creative skill, it's a creative power, it is a creative process. But in particular, the Bible says that God gave them, they were wise-hearted already, but I gave them a spirit of wisdom. Why? Because it is not everyone that is imaginative and creative that can capture your vision. And it was very important that the vision be captured. So God gave these people wisdom so that they can catch the vision. And so not only are you to have wisdom yourself and inform your mind and update your skills in order to fulfill your vision, but also in getting wisdom is that you have to find people that can catch your vision and have the skills to run with your vision and to develop your vision and to help you with your vision. And so you have to look for people who have wisdom for your vision. People who have wisdom for your vision. And anyone that has wisdom for your vision should be on your team. Team. I said team, because no person's an island. And sometimes we want to do everything by ourselves, but it actually takes teamwork to make the dream work. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. And so anyone that has wisdom for your vision should be on your team. You have to get wisdom, and you have to recognize people and make relationships, business or friendship, depending on what it is, with people who can capture your vision. And I believe that for every visionary, there's always artisans around, because if the vision comes from God, then there's always artisans, there's always people around, and you have to recognize them, who are key to help you in fulfilling your vision. So that is a very important requirement as a visionary to have. Update your skills for creativity, inform your mind, but also as well you need the help of others. You need a team. Sometimes you have to do things by yourself to start off with, but it cannot stay that way. For you to really go to the level that you have to go, you need people, you need a team. Very important. The next key is to use time well. Use time well. And time is a very, very profound and very, very powerful concept. Time brings order to the universe. It frames and defines our physical world. Time. Very important, very powerful. And there's also a very spiritual element to time, or even supernatural element to time. How do I know that there must be a spiritual or supernatural element to time? Because we usually measure time by the clock, by the calendar, by the years, by the days. And that calendar is based on the lunar or the solar, the sun or the moon. However, if you looked at the Genesis account of creation, you will find that the sun and the moons were not made until the fourth day. So if the sun and the moon were not made until the fourth day, how did the other days came about? Because if a day involves the existence of the sun and the moon, but it wasn't created to the fourth day, how did the other three came about? So time is beyond how we look at it, but we measure time and how we utilize time in this physical aspect. It has also a very spiritual aspect. But let's look at time. Let me just give you an example of of the importance of time, just on a basic level. Okay, now I'm the creator of a world-renowned cuisine, named after myself. It's called Allioni Cannelloni. Okay? I only make it on special occasions. And I know it's good because there's none left afterwards. Christmas or special things, it always goes. Remember the name, Allioni Cannelloni. Okay? If you hear it on TV or radio, Allioni Cannelloni. Now, when I make it, I put together all the ingredients, secret ingredients, put it all together in a casserole dish, and then I put it in the oven. Now, if I got the ingredients right, everything is there, and then the heat is there. If I put it in the oven and then took it out straight away, would it be ready to eat? Why? Time. You need time. I can have all the ingredients, and I can even have the heat. And it doesn't matter how high I turn up the heat. If I don't put time into the equation, then I'm not going to have something that you'll be able to eat. And on a very basic level, that is the importance of time. And so when you now look at the creative account of the universe in Genesis, when it says, let there be light and let there be the sky and the firmament, each time, and let there be the vegetation, let there be the waters and the animals and everything like that, they're all divided into days. And what happens is that God says, let this be, let this, do that. But then what happens, it then says, then there was evening, and then there was morning the first day. Let there be, let there be, let there be. Then there was evening, and then was morning the second day, and so on and so forth. Why? Because time is what makes it all happen. The let there be's is like putting all the ingredients together and putting everything in order. However, the creative power that makes it all what it's supposed to be is time. It's time. It's the time that it's not an abracadabra instant thing. It's time. It's a process. Time allows the process of creation to happen. So there's a very powerful spiritual and supernatural element to time. And interestingly enough, there was a professor, his name is Edward Banfield, Professor Edward Banfield. And I believe this was back in the 70s, a study that he conducted. He wanted to find out why certain people were successful and certain people were not successful. And he did a very in-depth study, and he found that it had nothing to do with a person's background or their family or anything like that. What he found is that the people who were most successful were people that factored in time in all of their decision making. And not just a small amount of time, but what he termed long-time perspective, meaning that they had plans, 5-year plans, 10-year plans, 20-year plans. I believe I was told the Catholic Church has a 300-year plan. People who factor in time, and they factor in a lot of time. They look way down in the future and they have plans for what they want to achieve. Those people tend to be the most successful in life than those who only have short-term plans or no plans at all. And it was a very, very profound study. And it shows that the way now, from looking at that and other things, I look at time as power. And the more time that I have is the more power. So when I make plans, the more I can have more power working towards my good by planning more ahead. The further along I plan, the more power I make available for what I want to achieve, and the more likely it is that I'm going to achieve what I need to achieve. And the best example, and the most profound example I've seen when looking at the power of time, because when you plan that, it's like when you make a plan, it's like you are giving time an assignment. When you make a plan, you give time an assignment. And that time power is going to ensure that everything that needs to happen, and events and circumstances, because you can't personally control events and circumstances, but you can leverage. There's a leverage that you can do. And your leverage is through your plans and your goals. But it's time itself. You give it an assignment. So it's very, very important in making plans. And probably the most profound thing that I saw in the Bible, and this happened a couple of times with Jesus, is that as Jesus in his character, he sometimes says things that hits a nerve. And he was in a synagogue and he said something and it hit a nerve. And the people rushed him and they took him outside the town and they took him to the edge of a cliff to throw him off. And this happened, I believe, a couple of times. And then what happened? Nothing. He was on the edge of the cliff, but then it just says then he just walked past them and went his way. What happened? It doesn't say that there was any angels that came and intervened, or any people or men. It just said they was at the edge and then nothing. And then when you look at the scripture, it says that the only reason that it gives, it says it because it was not his time. It was not his time. There was a way that he was going to die, but not like that. It's not his time. Very profound. And so when we make plans, okay, and when was Jesus' plan? When was that plan made? The Bible says the foundation of the earth. Those plans was made. The lamb that was slain at the foundation of the earth. God is the master of long time perspective. When was the foundation of how many years ago? Many, many years, okay? I don't know how long, but the foundation of the earth. And so with all that planning, there was absolutely no way that anything can stop Jesus from achieving what, because it was planned. So time intervened. And I love that concept. And this is I'm a Matrix fan, okay? I'm a Matrix fan. And I love that they shot the bullets at him. And the bullets came and stopped and dropped. Why? It's not my time. It's not my time. And if I was making a movie of Jesus being thrown off the cliff, I would have made it a very Matrix style. That these people come and then Jesus and everyone just stops still. And Jesus just walk out and walk his way. It's not my time. It's not my time. And when you make plans, anything that comes against you to try to thwart it, just like Neo here, it's not my time. And all those arrows and bullets will fall. It's not my time. Very powerful. Be inspired. Be inspired. The man himself, Bruce Lee. And inspiration is a very, very important thing. You are inspired when you see your heroes, when you see your mentors, when you see them in action, when you see them doing something. It inspires you. It inspires you. What is inspiration in itself is when you don't only just see them, but you see yourself. And you see yourself doing what they are doing. And Bruce Lee, probably most of the martial artists that you see today were inspired by Bruce. And they saw Bruce, and then they saw themselves doing exactly what Bruce was doing. And just like what I was talking about earlier on, when I saw Reverend Scotland preaching and speaking and everything, I saw myself. Even though it was so unlikely at the time, I saw myself. I was inspired. And I had no ambition even before then about speaking. It was just about art and, and making money, but not speaking. But when I saw him, I saw myself doing that. I saw something. And so inspiration is a key part of being a visionary. Inspiration is a key part of being a visionary. And you are more inspired, especially when you are divinely inspired. It's good to be self-motivated and self-inspired, but especially when you are divinely inspired, you can do things. And you can do things that are very, very powerful, and you can do things that people may think is impossible for you to do. And I believe that Jesus himself operated from inspiration. Why? Because he says, whatever the Father does, the Son also does in like manner. Whatever the Father does, the Son also does in like manner. It is the same principle, which leads me to what I call the secret key to divine power. See me, see you. And it's not really a secret because Jesus revealed it, but it sounds better if I say it's a secret. The secret key sounds better. The secret key to divine power. See me, see you. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, this is what Jesus said. He said, most assuredly I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do, for whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. So, what he sees his Father doing, only that is what he can do. If he cannot see his Father doing it, then he can't do it. And so all the miracles that he did, everything that he did stemmed from his ability to see the Father. However, putting that in more practical terms, I put it to you that in Jesus seeing the Father, it wasn't by some divine visitation, but it was what the Father revealed to him in his mind and his imagination. And what he could see, then he was able to do. What he was able to see the Father doing in his mind, in his imagination, then he was able to do it. However, if we are to operate in the same way, in the same principle, how is that practical to us? Because the Bible makes it clear that no man or woman has ever seen the Father. So how can we follow in the same footsteps? How can we follow in the same path? How can we take a principle from that? Well, what we really have to look at is what really does it mean to see the Father from Jesus' point of view. From Jesus' point of view, what is it really to see the Father? And seeing the Father from Jesus' point of view is quite profound, because when his disciples were asking him, show us the Father, who is the Father? Jesus said to them, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me? He who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? He who has seen me has seen the Father. So Jesus is the express image of the Father. So when the Father is revealed in Jesus' mind doing something, what Jesus is, the image and the picture that Jesus is actually seeing is himself doing it. But he recognizes the image or the picture of himself doing it is actually the Father. Let me say it again. Because he is the image, the representative, the face of the Father, he says, if you see me, you see the Father. You see me here? Okay, that's the Father. That's what the Father looks like. So now, when things are revealed in his mind of what the Father is doing, what the picture looks like that he can actually see is himself doing it. But the him, himself doing it, he recognizes and knows that's the Father. But the Father looks like me, because I look like the Father. In my imagination, the Father looks like me. So, if you was Jesus and you had a vision, you would see yourself doing something profound, you would see yourself doing something that others would deem impossible, but you would know it's not actually you, but the Father. That's if you was Jesus. The powerful thing is, if we understand what I call the Christ principle, is that when you identify with Jesus, when you accept Jesus, you become him. You become what? A Christ. You don't become someone following him, you actually become him. That is the profound thing that is often lost. He says, look, Jesus said himself, look, truly I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seed. When Jesus was on earth, there was only one seed. When he died and removed, then there's many seeds. The same seed, the same multiplied. And so now, your vision, that being the case, what applies to Jesus, what applies to Christ, applies to you. And that's a very profound thing, because we can then start looking at the scriptures differently to be an example of what we can do. Everything you see Jesus do, we're to do it. He was an example, he was showing us who we really are and our true potential. But that's another subject and another book. When you have a vision and you are identify yourself with Christ, and you have this vision, and it's a big vision, the reason why it's a big vision that you see yourself doing is because it's the Father doing it through you. It's the Father, but he looks like you. Your big vision, the things that you want to do, that's why I always say, don't be afraid to dream big. You can never dream big enough. The Bible says that he has put eternity in our hearts. How big is eternity? It's big. Dream big. Why? Because it's not really your dream. It's God's dream. But he's given it to you. And in the picture of your mind, it looks like you, but you got to understand that it's him. And so therefore now, knowing that you can never be intimidated by a big dream, you can never be intimidated by something that looks impossible, because you know it's not you. So no matter how unlikely it looks, you know it's the Father. You are God's visionary. And God dwells in the imagination of his visionaries. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we've got 5 minutes. We can do a Q&A if you want. If you have any questions, feel free. Yes.
Is your book on sale? Okay.
I'll let you know afterwards.
Oh yes, you mentioned a man called Banfield did a study.
Edward Banfield.
Edward Banfield. Is
Yeah.
that a book, or is that, how can we get hold of that?
Yes, if you easily study in Google. Just Google him and it will come up and you'll see. He talks about long-time perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My question is,
Yeah.
for the schools to establish the use of young people?
I've done that before and I'm working towards doing that. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's so important, that message, you know, they really need to hear and listen.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, can I first of all say what an absolutely brilliant presentation.
Thank you.
I was genuinely inspired.
Thank you. Thank you.
foremost. How do you deal with some of the frustrations of fear when you have a vision, particularly around the fear of the money or the resources to build that dream? Because as you were speaking, there's something burning in my heart, Lord, and then the fear side comes and says, well, how am I going to get that? You know, that sort of thing. How have you dealt with that?
And that is a constant battle, a battle of the mind, and that's kind of like where really faith comes in, you know, because as I said, there's a saying is reality is based on your belief. Reality is based on if you believe it, it becomes real. So I therefore give myself permission to think that I'm a winner, to believe it, to believe in that the impossible can be done. I give myself, because if reality is based on what I believe, then that means I can change reality. I can change the reality. That is the key for me. But it's not easy, it's a battle, because sometimes your mind can look at the physicality, okay, but then I remember the mind realm is more powerful than the physical. But oftentimes we look at the physical because it's there in your face, you can touch it, you can smell it, and everything like that. But that's the battle, but I remember, and I give myself the permission, because a lot of times because we have, I think the greatest fear a lot of us have is disappointment. And because of the fear of disappointment, we want to, as if disappointment kills us. I mean, all of us have been disappointed before, but we're all here. But we go on as if disappointment kills us. So to prepare for disappointment, we err on the side of caution, and we kind of think a bit negative so that we can be real. Okay, I want to be real about this. So we kind of introduce and allow the negativity to protect us from being disappointed. And that is how we kind of are by default. But it takes a braver person to stick their neck out and say, no, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to win at this. And when you do that, you therefore create that reality. And as I said, and especially if it can happen, if things can be achieved for people who don't even rely on God, recognize God, but it still happens, because imagination is a powerful realm. And God himself said nothing will be restrained, from what they imagine to do. That is a principle that God even said, and God had to do something to derail these people's imagination. So what they're imagining was not from God. It was their own imagination, which they were seeing and achieving, and it was going to be done. Because if it wasn't going to be done, then God didn't have to do anything. But God knew it was going to be done. He didn't sanction it, had nothing to do with him, but they were getting it done anyway. So if that's the case, and imagination is so powerful in that sense, how much more when it's sanctioned by God? How much more? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Funny enough that my company is called Vision as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love the seminar.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, how do you, or what advice would you give to people who failed and think that there's no coming back from it?
I, as someone who's experienced failure before, but still considers myself successful, because I believe that there is a failure, something you failed at, but it doesn't identify me. I'm still a success. Yes, that thing failed, but I don't let that thing brand me. I don't identify myself with that. I made a mistake, but I think the great things with failings is that from what you learn. It happens so you can learn. And then you learn. A true failure, as far as I'm concerned, is someone that doesn't learn from their mistakes. So you need mistakes. Mistakes is a great friend to have. It's a great teacher. You know, it's just down to your perspective. It teaches you things, and then you do better next time, or maybe a couple of times, because sometimes, as we say, a hard ears. You know, in my culture, hard ears you don't hear. So you don't let it identify you. You don't let it brand you. And you learn from it, move on, move upwards.
Okay, so I have another question.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you. I found your seminar really useful today,
Okay.
Partly because I'm a jewellery designer,
Okay.
and my designs are inspired by the Bible. So what I
Uh-huh.
do is I see something in a vision or a dream,
Uh-huh.
and then I draw a picture, and then I make it in silver or gold.
Mm.
And so for me, when I have a vision, I have to make it into something tangible, and it's like a birthing process.
Right, right.
So my question to you is, what visions have you had that you've actually made into something tangible?
Yeah.
And let's say within the next 5-10 years,
Yeah.
what is your, the personal vision?
Sure. The things that I've made tangible, as I said, everything, like, say, when I started off in fashion, I had an idea, I had a brand, I had a look, and thankfully I was equipped with the skills as an artist to materialize it in an artistic sense. And then, the magazine that I produced is called Spread the Word. It was a gospel event guide, very, very popular. And that was a vision of mine, but it was actually a vision that stemmed from, I kind of saw the need, because I remember I was looking for a venue for some other reason, and I found that on my doorstep there was this gospel concert, and I said, how come there was this gospel concert? I didn't know about it. So then that kind of inspired me and said, okay, I want everyone to know about these things and give, but also as well, I had another vision as well, is that I at the time was doing a lot of flyer designs for clubs, secular clubs and everything, and I used to do the whole thing that you see flyers with the half-naked women and everything like that. But the thing is, when I compared that to church flyers, I'm a person of excellence. So it doesn't matter about the content there. It's all, when you look at the club stuff, it's done in excellence. It's in full color, high quality and everything. And then when you look at that time, when you looked at the church flyer that come from your door, it was either, something printed on a green paper or a pink paper, and it when I looked at it, it wouldn't look like something I really wanted to go to. When I compared that with the club flyers, with the lovely ladies and stuff like that, I looked, no, I think I know where I want to be, So, I then had as well with the magazine, with the magazine, I wanted to do something that's excellent, that allowed churches to stand head and shoulders with the small churches to stand head and shoulders with the larger churches who could afford, to brand themselves well. So that was my vision, and that was accomplished. And in terms of the future, it's only recently that I've had a real clarity about something, even though it was there all the time in regards to birthing a media company, and I've done that in different aspects. But it just became just very, very clear, just a clarity of the obvious, but also allowing myself to now understanding, see me, see you, God. When I write down my vision, it's simply this: to build a $1 billion media company dedicated to empowering people to live successfully. And that's it in a nutshell. That's my vision. Why $1 billion? Is it because I'm greedy? No. And I want the money for myself? No. Because I'm thinking kingdom, I'm thinking impacting culture, and you have to be pretty big to be able to impact culture. That's it.
Due to
Last,
time,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is going to be the final question.
Yeah.
Hi, Alan.
Hi.
Just to say, this seminar has been like life-changing.
Oh,
really
thank
good.
you. Thank you.
So what I wanted to ask you was just, in regard to vision, like how do you know if it's like a vision from God or a vision from you?
Mm-hmm.
And like how, if you have so many visions, how do you know which one to focus on?
Yeah, yeah. That's very important, and that's kind of really, you know, to be honest, for me, it's been a bit of trial and error, you know. But I always go really and truly with passion as my identifier, you know. What I believe that your passion, your true passion, will always lead to your purpose. And I was in a thing where I have a lot of things though that I'm passionate about and want to do and stuff like that. And but what I found is it wasn't a case of choosing which to eliminate. It was a question of priorities. And what helped me, I asked myself, if I only had a year to live, what would I want to achieve? And when you ask yourself those sort of questions, then it kind of identifies, you know, your core passion, you know, the key thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's it. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you all. This seminar was designed to inspire you to believe in your dreams and to hang out in your future. Your future is ahead of you. It lies within you. See beyond the limitations of your circumstances and dare to dream big. Okay? In closing, Alex wants to come back and do a little wrap up.
Yeah, yeah. And I have one announcement. Yeah. Just before that, yeah. So to answer the question, my book, Vision, Seeing is Achieving, is now available. It's available on Amazon and all major online bookstores. But more importantly, it is available at the back there. You can pick it up. And here it is, Vision. Thank you. And I just want to ask, it was short on time, but I'm going to ask if Reverend Scotland, if you don't mind, if you can just pray over, you know, bless the books.
Wow. Let's just pray. Come on. Father, we absolutely adore you today. We thank you so much for opening our eyes that we may see. We thank you for this fabulous book, and indeed the author of the book, which is you through your Son. We just pray, Lord, that you will inspire and anoint and lead this book into the lives of many people, that it will open up windows of their hearts, people that are fearful, people that are scared, people that are dreaming but not sure, that this book will be like a manual sent from you to reveal the truth of how to go forward. We thank you for great success and the blessing sitting on this book. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Put your hands together for Allan, please. Now, you've been sitting for a very long time, so up on your feet. Stretch your hands to the sky. Put your hands up. Has it ever fascinated you how the trees get energized? The trees absorb rays of sunshine from the sun, and it goes through their body into the ground. And they're like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth fruit in their season. All right? So I want you to turn to your right, your right, and put your hands on the shoulder of the person you're standing behind, both hands, and just massage their shoulders for me. Just massage their shoulders for me. Yeah, just massage their shoulders. Massage their shoulders. Yeah? Okay? Just get you relaxed a bit. Yeah? All right? Now turn, give the other person the opportunity now. Massage their shoulders now. Yes? Okay? Just massage, all right? Okay? Just, okay? Now turn facing me now. Now, we've had a lot of words today. We've had a lot of words, a lot of information into our lives. And these words are only effective based on what we do with the words. But I also believe that whatever we declare over our lives become action. You send it out, you push it out, you declare, and you step inside of it. You cannot live here today without declaring something over your life and your family. Okay? To commit yourself It's October now, November, December, 2 months to the end of the financial year, end of the calendar year. What are the dreams and visions that you had in 2016 that you're not yet achieved or have done? You have 2-3 months to get them done. Is that okay? Yeah. Now put your hands on your head. It starts in the mind. Allan says it. It starts in the mind. It's the place to start. Okay? So, after me, I declare.
I declare.
My dreams.
My dreams.
My visions.
My visions.
Are being released.
Are being released.
In 2016.
In 2016.
Before the end finishes.
Before the end finishes.
I am.
Going.
To. Do. Pronounce one thing. Whatever it is. Pronounce it. Pronounce it. Pronounce it. Open your mouth and pronounce it. I am going to do. Okay, I'm going to do. Okay? Say that again. I am going to fill in the gap. All right? Now, whatever you declare over your life. Now, keep your hands on your head. My mind is being transformed.
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 And I will walk in that transformation. From today onwards. I will not step back into my comfort zone. Well, I will push to the visions and the dreams that's in my heart. Thank you, Lord. Now put your hands together for yourself.
It's your boy Wayne Jordan, author of Surf the Wave. I had to come down to this seminar to see Allan Seeley. He shut it down, completely revolutionised my whole brain, rewired it, talks about the matrix, about the bullets. This is the book. Yeah, the power of vision, absolutely transformation. I feel like a visionary, I feel like a new man, I feel like I'm transformed. And Allan Seeley is the man. I'm telling you, make sure you come to the Power of Vision 2, because the Power of Vision 1, I feel transformed, I feel amazing, I feel alive right now. And I have the vision, and I know about the 3 worlds. The 3 worlds, that was the concept I didn't know about. They're telling me that time is up now. The power of vision. Allan Seeley, big love.
Hello, my name is Dennis Scotland. I've known Allan Seeley for many, many years now. I was greatly honoured to be invited along today to listen to his presentation on the power of vision. I would really recommend this book. I really think it's going to inspire you. God bless you, Allan. Well done.
Okay, hi, I just came to the Power of Vision seminar today. It has been absolutely life-changing. I came here with so many questions and just doubts about what I want to do, and it's just, I'm leaving with a clear vision, and just, I'm so happy I came. I recommend this event, make sure you come, transformational. And Allan Seeley, amazing man.
My name is Kevin Tomlin. I was delighted to be at the conference today. I had many questions, but I got the clarity that would actually impact me for the future. I think Allan Seeley has really caught on to the 3 Evans, which I did not know about, and that gave me the clarity that I needed. And I deeply recommend the book, and I deeply recommend that people to actually come to the next seminar and what you do in the future. For me, this is something that is needed in all various different sectors and industry, and I would recommend that everybody to actually come and see and witness the knowledge and impact that God has revealed through Allan Seeley. Thank you very much, and don't forget to actually read this book and embrace it, and actually it will actually push you forward with your vision. Thank you.
I'm Norma Moraine. My company is Silverfish Jewellery. I'm based in Birmingham in the Jewellery Quarter. I found today's seminar really, really useful. It's one of the most awesome, life-changing seminars I've ever attended. I loved hearing Allan's take on the power of vision. As a jewellery designer, vision is very, very important to me because what I do is I see something in a vision or a dream, and then I make it in silver and gold. So vision is very powerful and very important to me, but the way Allan explained it today just really resonated with me and gave so much clarity, and I think it really increased my desire to keep on dreaming and to keep dreaming big. So thank you guys, thank you Alan. I really enjoyed today's seminar, thank you.
Alan just broke down the manifestation, the mind, and all the works that happens to bring us to where we are. We have so much inside of us. God has given us so much. He's invested so much inside of us, but we sometimes fail to unpack what we have, unpack the treasure. He called it the hidden treasure. It's there. What have you got in your house? What have you got? Like the woman, you know, when she was told to provide more pots, and as the pots were provided, the oil flowed. What are we not doing today to allow the oil to flow out of our lives? We have so much stuff to produce. We have so much information. We've lived. We have so much experiences. And there's a generation out there right now who don't know what to do, who want some wisdom. They want some education. And we have it. So the power of vision just sharpens your mind, sharpens it's like electricity, inspiration. But package it in a book, package it in a card set, package it in a video, package it somehow and brand it to the world. The Power of Vision is a great event by Allan Seeley. Guys, get the video. This is Alex Gordon from masteryourmessage.co.uk. I'll see you later.
Thanks very much, Alan, for this seminar. It was brilliant. It gave me some real good inspiration that I needed and a push that I needed to push my business forward. I am a stylist and I'm very happy that I came to this. I hope we'll continue to carry on with these seminars because they're brilliant and they're really doing to buy people. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Chantel and I've just experienced the Power of the Vision seminar. It was amazing by Allan Seeley. I purchased a book for my partner who needs actual inspiration on his business and his venture where he needs to be. All the young children and other adults need to come to the seminar to be inspired, to know their dream, to know who they should be and want to be, and know their purpose in life. It's an amazing experience, definitely amazing. I met some wonderful people and very knowledgeable experience.